Ole Miss will soon be searching for a new chancellor as Dr. Jeff Vitter will be resigning in January.
Coming up, we'll take a look at Chancellor Vitter's time at the university and what we currently know about this story.
Good evening and thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Madison Scarpino.
And I'm Maddie Sabrin.
2019 means a new year, and for the university, it means a new chancellor.
This morning, Ole Miss found out that Chancellor Jeff Vitter will step down from his position in January. NewsWatch reporter Brianna Bynum joins us live from the Lyceum with more on this developing story. Brianna?
Thanks. I'm here outside of the Lyceum, which is where Chancellor Jeff Vitter's office is. It was announced this morning that Chancellor Vitter will not be returning as Chancellor next year, and the reason for his departure from the position has not yet been announced. Jeffrey Vitter is stepping down as Chancellor at the University of Mississippi over a year before his contract is set to expire. For the Ole Miss community, this may seem like deja vu, as this comes after former Chancellor Dan Jones left abruptly in 2015 after not being offered a contract renewal. Vitter's last day as Chancellor is January 3rd, but he will return to the university as a distinguished professor of computer and information science. In a statement from the Institutions of Higher Learning, Vitter says there is no more important role on a university campus than a faculty member. For some, Vitter staying in Oxford to teach comes as no surprise, as Vitter has been vocal about his beliefs on education.
Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world.
The IHL thanked Vitter for his contributions to the university, saying his leadership has moved the university forward in numerous ways. Vitter considers it an honor to have served as chancellor in a place that he says attracted him because of its academic excellence and tight-knit community.
Its rich tradition of academic excellence, strong sense of community, recognized history as an economic driver and thought leader, and the good fortune to be located in the culinary mecca of Oxford.
Vitter says he and his wife will remain strong citizens of Rebel Nation, and according to the IHL, an interim chancellor will be named soon. This is a developing story, and we will keep you updated as we find out more information. Reporting from the Lyceum, Brianna Bynum, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Thanks, Brianna. Chancellor Vitter's time at the university has Chancellor Vitter's time at the university has marked with many controversies. In 2017, NCAA sanctions hit Ole Miss's football program, placing a 2-year bowl ban on the team. This past September, the School of Journalism and New Media made headlines when its namesake made Facebook posts with racial undertones. Earlier this month, Ole Miss's Kappa Alpha Theta sorority announced its campus chapter would be closing, joining the university's chapter of the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity, which closed in 2017. In summary, we currently know Dr. Vitter was given a 4-year contract when he was hired in the fall of 2015. The contract went into effect on January 1st, 2016, and was set to expire on June 30th, 2020. Dr. Vitter's resignation will go into effect on January 3rd, 2019. In the spring semester, he will become a distinguished professor at the university in the School of Engineering, Department of Computer and Information Science. However, there's still much that we don't know. It is uncertain who will be named the interim chancellor, when a search committee will be named, and when the Institutions of Higher Learning Board expects a new chancellor to be named. We'll keep you updated as the story develops.
An Olive Branch resident and Regional 1 hospital employee was fired from his job after wearing an offensive shirt to a polling site on Tuesday. The statement released from Regional 1 Hospital did not disclose the man's name, but BuzzFeed identified him as Clayton John Hickey. Other voters at the Summers Hill precinct took photos of the man and posted them on social media. The shirt had the words Mississippi Justice along with a Confederate flag and a noose. Before working at Regional 1, Clayton was a Memphis police officer, but resigned in 2010 after being stopped with an underage girl and alcohol in his car. Oxford resident Andrew Brown died Wednesday following a hit-and-run accident. Brown was found unresponsive at the scene near Ricky D. Britt Boulevard and was later pronounced dead after attempts to resuscitate him were unsuccessful. Nick Welch of Little Rock, Arkansas, was the driver of the vehicle that hit Brown and has been charged with driving under the influence. The Oxford Police Department said that they are considering this incident an open investigation and will continue to update the case as it develops.
The city of Oxford has a new fire chief in town. After serving as the interim fire chief for several weeks, Oxford native Joey Gardner has been permanently hired. Gardner was informed of his hire last Thursday after his appointment was approved by the Board of Aldermen. Gardner has served with the Oxford Fire Department for 21 years prior to his promotion. Gardner will be tasked with organizing the department to serve an additional 10 square miles recently annexed into the city limits. Gardner said he is honored to be in this position, and being able to help people is his favorite part of the job.
Artist George Tobolowsky has traveled to art shows all over the world, from Venice to Jerusalem. Last night, the artist wasn't across seas. Reporter Thomas Goris was at the Ole Miss Museum to attend the event.
Dozens of people gathered last night at the University of Mississippi Museum to hear artist George Tobolowsky talk about his artwork firsthand. Over the past 14 years, Tobolowsky has created over 500 sculptures, 510 to be exact. But what makes Tobolowsky's sculptures unique isn't the fact that he's made hundreds of them, but rather what they're made out of. Each sculpture is created out of different ready-made objects, or in non-art terms, pieces of scrap metal. Tobolowsky feels that by creating artwork out of tiny pieces of something else, he's saving a small piece of history.
Each ready-made object has a history. So by me incorporating many of these objects together, I'm preserving the history of those objects.
Last night's event also featured a double-decker bus ride around Oxford to view a few of the 14 different Tobolowsky sculptures scattered around town. Collections manager Melanie Antonelli said that putting on this exhibit was one of the most challenging the museum's ever done.
I think the heaviest one was 6,500 pounds. So finding a forklift that could lift that was a new experience for me.
Visitors to the University Museum can still enjoy sculptures like the one behind me as part of the Along Road Back exhibit until December 8th. Thomas Goris, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
The Along Road Back exhibit is free and open to the public.
After back-to-back home losses to SEC opponents, the Ole Miss football team will try to get back in the win column. Sports Watch reporter Sky Spieler has more on tomorrow's game. Sky?
That's right, Madison. The Rebels are headed to College Station this weekend for a showdown of 5 and 4 teams. A&M's season hasn't gone the way they hoped, but this week they have a chance to lock up a bowl game. They've got a good chance to do so against an Ole Miss team that suffered back-to-back losses. As usual for teams facing the Rebs D, expect a run-heavy approach from Jimbo Fisher's offense. Running back Travion Williams was banging it last week against Auburn, averaging more than 6 yards per carry, and I think it goes without saying that Auburn's defense is a bit better than the Rebs. As for Ole Miss, the offense has been playing up to their reputation. They exploded in a 44-point loss to South Carolina, but they may have a more difficult time against a solid A&M D. Both teams are a little dinged up. Ta'amu's playing with an ankle injury, and A&M's got some offensive linemen that are questionable. And I don't anticipate this one going well for the Rebs down there in the Lone Star State. I'm expecting the Aggies to cover the 12-point spread at the very least. Madison, back to you.
Thanks, Sky. With Thanksgiving being less than 2 weeks away, many Oxford residents are already preparing to get their groceries for the big day. NewsWatch reporter Jack Orloff explains how it's better to order sooner than later.
As the holiday season approaches, shoppers can't help but notice the turkeys showing up in local grocery store freezers. Keith Larson is one of the owners at Larson's Cash Saver on University Avenue. He says they're ready for the Thanksgiving rush.
Well, we keep a book of what we sold last year, the previous year, whether we ran short on them, whether, most of these are private label turkeys, not necessarily your Butterball. Butterball does too, but just look on what we've sold, and then, if we think there's going to need to be any adjustments, then we'll do that.
However, not everyone cooks their own Thanksgiving dinner. Here at Honey Baked Ham, people are already calling, reserving their hams and turkeys for Thanksgiving. Chris Hill is the owner of the Oxford Honey Baked Ham, and he says that they start thinking about Thanksgiving at the end of the summer.
We ordered more. It was our first holiday last year, so we didn't really know how much to order. And our product is perishable, so we didn't want to over-order on our first year, and we have to make that order in August. People don't realize that, but I have to do that months in advance.
Hill says he expects this year's customers will gobble up his pre-made ham and turkey just as they did the year before. Jack Orloff, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
There is still some time to pre-order some of the big orders from several companies here in Oxford, as Thanksgiving isn't until November 22nd.
Thanksgiving holidays are 2 weeks away, but not everyone will be heading home. NewsWatch reporter Naja Jowdagi is in studio to tell us what Ole Miss International students have planned for the holidays. Naja?
That's right, Maddie. The International Studies program has several events lined up for students, such as a trip to Canada and New Orleans. Ole Miss students share their opinions and plans for the upcoming break.
Thanksgiving holidays are coming up quickly, and international students will be spending their Thanksgiving holidays together. International Student Advisor Hannah Jiff tells more on what the International Programs Office will be doing for students.
This Thanksgiving break, we actually have something that we're doing for the first time. This semester, we're taking them over the Thanksgiving break. So November 17th through the 20th, we'll take a group of 34 students to New Orleans. So that's something we tried this time around, and it worked out. We got the program made because we had enough students.
International students don't often have a chance to visit home due to the short time period between Thanksgiving and Christmas break. International graduate student Marcela Neto says she will be staying in Oxford for the holidays.
As for the Thanksgiving break, I'm staying here. It's just because it's a short break. It's like 7 days, 9 days, so it's not worth going back to Brazil.
International graduate student Beza Kaylee says that she wishes that the Thanksgiving break would combine with the Christmas break.
We could start the semester a little bit earlier so that we can kind of combine the Thanksgiving break with the Christmas break, so that it would be even easier for us with the assignments, with the, holiday spirit that we need.
International students can check out the Study Abroad Office or the International Programs Office for more information about holiday break trips. Maddie, back to you.
Thanks, Naja. Coming up, find out what President Trump is threatening to do after his argument with one CNN reporter earlier this week.
And stay tuned to see the 3 major wildfires that are roaring through California and just how damaging their effects are. But first, Kayla White has your first look at the current conditions.
Good evening, Rebels and Hottie Toddy. We're going to get a small break from the rain this weekend, but it's going to return in full force on Monday. The chilly weather's going to continue, though, so I would say go ahead and stock up on that winter gear. If you look behind me at our radar image, you can see we got some activity moving out of Mississippi, and if you stick with me for Storm Watch, I'll let you know just how cold it's going to be.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just going to drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh, man, the selfies.
Selfie nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on, man, let's split a ride home.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Here she comes. Hi, Krista. Take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said she won't be taking you in as a client.
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
President Trump has called CNN reporter Jem Acosta unprofessional in an interview after having the correspondent's press pass taken away on Wednesday. The president also said this morning that he has not decided if Acosta will get his media pass back and that more passes could be revoked.
And as far as I'm concerned, I haven't made that decision.
but it could be others also. When you're in the White House, this is a very sacred place to me. This is a very special place. You have to treat the White House with respect. You have to treat the presidency with respect.
The president also mentioned April Ryan from American Urban Radio Networks, calling her nasty and saying she doesn't know what she's doing.
President Trump signed a proclamation this morning that will bar immigrants who cross into the U.S. illegally through the southern border from seeking asylum. The American Civil Liberties Union has called the proclamation illegal, and legal action is expected to follow. The proclamation will go into effect tomorrow morning, and the immediate impact will be that most migrants that cross the southern border illegally will not be eligible to file for asylum claims for at least 90 days. There was no change made to processing at ports of entry, but there was also no plan announced to increase capacity for legal entry. Millions of Californians are under red flag warnings after fast-moving wildfires continue to rage. The fires have forced thousands of residents to evacuate and are destroying towns and their paths. These fires continue to thrive in California due to low humidity and dry vegetation. At least 5 people have been found dead in the Camp Fire in Northern California. This fire broke out early yesterday morning and has been growing uncontrollably at a rate at about 80 football fields per minute. The Hill and Woolsey fires in Southern California are threatening Los Angeles and Malibu. The Woolsey fire crossed US 101 last night, only a few miles from Thousand Oaks, the site of Wednesday's tragic shooting.
First the shooting, now these fires. When is this going to end? It's just terrible.
Really keeping the firefighters and everyone affected in our thoughts.
As for the weather here in Oxford, it continues to move towards freezing temperatures.
And coming up in her extended forecast, Kayla White will let us know if any warmer weather will make its way here this weekend.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Disaster tips from the objects left behind.
My home wasn't insured, but you can check your insurance policy now to make sure you're covered. Oh.
My savings are lost, but you can put money aside and plan for unexpected disaster costs.
We're lost forever. You can scan important documents now so they survive.
Oh. For more tips on how to prepare, visit ready.gov.
Good evening, Rebels and Hottie Toddy. We are sitting at a chilly 44 degrees today with little cloud cover. No rain in those clouds, however, as we take a break from that yucky weather this weekend. Looking at our satellite image behind me, you can see we got some activity moving out of Mississippi, and things are looking pretty clear up in the north where we are. Looking at our neighbors, it looks like we're all shivering. We got South Haven at 45, topping us off this time, and then Holly Springs, Corinth, and Oxford right under it at 44, and Tupelo under us at 43. And then moving on to tomorrow's temperatures, things are looking about the same. South Haven at 42, Corinth at 45, Holly Springs in the middle at 43, along with Oxford at 44, and then Tupelo topping us off at 47. All right, so moving on to tonight's forecast. It's a chilly 27 degrees, so I would bundle up before you come out and support Our Lady Rebels tonight. Moving on to tomorrow, the sun will provide some heat. We're going to rise to 44. It'll be sunny, though, no rain. Again, we'll rejoice for that. Now, looking at our 5-day forecast, you'll see we got some rain coming early in the week, but moving on, things will clear up. Those colder temperatures will continue. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Kayla. The Ole Miss soccer team earned their second consecutive NCAA berth. Find out how they stack up against Clemson.
And Saturday tips off a new era in men's hoops. See how students around campus are feeling about Kermit up next in Sports Watch.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Welcome to Sports Watch. I'm Sky Spieler. The women's hoops team are gearing up for their second match of the night of the season. And their contest is going to be against IUPUI. That's not a disease. It's a small school in Indianapolis that plays in the Horizon League. Needless to say, this is a great chance for Coach Yolette McPhee-McEwen to net her second win as the Rebels head coach. It's still early in the season, so it's hard to know exactly what to expect tonight, but remember this name moving forward, Mimi Reed. She's a freshman point guard who had 6 assists in the first game against Norfolk State, and she was a big part of that win. The men's hoop squad's yet to play their first regular season game under head coach Kermit Davis. Sports reporter Hallie Ames has more on tonight's opener.
The cold weather is finally here, and that means so is basketball season. Your Ole Miss Rebels will kick off their season tomorrow against the Western Michigan Broncos. Though our record last year was less than 500, the team can still count on unwavering fans to cheer them on throughout the season.
Probably miss, in the last 3 years I've probably missed like less than 10, I would say. Yeah, I go to all the games. You can see me front row and student section.
One of the standouts from the team from a year ago is senior shooting guard Terrence Davis. Davis was just recently named preseason All-SEC second team for the second consecutive year. After forgoing the NBA draft, Davis put in a show at the exhibition match with some jaw-dropping numbers as he put up 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists with no turnovers, and will be one you want to keep your eye on as the Rebels' schedule gets harder.
He's a very strong player. The team has always benefited from him, but I will say I'm very glad he decided to stay another year, like from a friend and from like a fan.
Fans should also remember a pair of 6'7" freshmen named KJ Buffett and Blank Hinson, who had a combined 13 points and rebounds. You can catch Emily along with the other dedicated fans, as well as Terrence Davis putting on a show here tomorrow at 3 o'clock versus the Western Michigan Broncos for hopefully another dominating performance. Hallie Ames, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
You can stream tomorrow's game on Watch ESPN or watch them in the Pavilion. Moving forward, the Rebels have a tough matchup on the way at Butler on November 16th. The Ole Miss soccer team is NCAA tournament bound. They head to Clemson tomorrow night to face the 12-8 Tigers. The Rebels were shut out 4-0 against Arkansas in the SEC tournament, so they're obviously glad to have another chance to play. but if they're going to extend their season, it won't be easy against number 25 Clemson. They've got 2 scorers in the top 10 in the ACC, and their keeper Sandy McIver has posted 8 clean sheets this season. But remember, Ole Miss has some talent of their own, with the SEC's top scorer in CeCe Kaiser, as well as 2 other players who were named to all SEC teams. The pride of Ole Miss sports is looking to bring more glory back to Oxford. 2 weeks after winning the SEC championship race, the men's cross-country team won the NCAA South Regional title this morning at Florida State. Now they set their sights on the NCAA championships in Madison, Wisconsin. Associate head coach Ryan Van Hoy was recently named SEC Men's Coach of the Year. He's got to be feeling confident in his guys heading into the race. The team's got 6 all-regional runners. This is probably the best team in Ole Miss cross-country history. They'll compete in the big race on November 17th. Well, that'll wrap up sports, but make sure to follow us on Twitter at NewsWatch_UM for more of your favorite sports updates. Madison, Maddie, back to you.
Thanks, Sky. Well, if you're a pinball wizard, then you'll love this real-life toy story coming up next.
So stay tuned to see if one of your favorite childhood games made it into this year's Toy Hall of Fame.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
It only takes a moment to make a moment.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Well, if you ask a Magic 8-Ball if it will be inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame this year, the answer will be yes. The future-telling device is joined by the card game Uno and the precursor to modern video games, pinball. And this is the first year that fans got to vote on their favorite toys.
Competitors to the trio included Masters of the Universe, Chutes and Ladders, American Girl dolls, and even chalk. The National Toy Hall of Fame is at the Strong Museum of Play in Rochester, New York. Only 68 toys have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and this was the Magic 8-Ball's 7th nomination.
Kayla, I have to ask you, if I had a Magic 8-Ball right now, what would it say that the weather this weekend would be like?
Well, dry for the most part, chilly still. Yeah, so.
All right. Well, thank you, Kayla. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Madison Scarpino.
Be sure to join us here again Monday night at 5 and on NewsWatchOleMiss.com. I'm Maddie Saverin. Thank you and good night.